We are imagining Lava is the permissionless Amazon for any Web3 data. Almost 35 million unique users have been using Lava as the backbone to Web3. The problem that we wanted to solve with Lava is simple, right? How do we remove the technical barrier and make infrastructure as a tool for developers, but not a barrier?
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Unleashing DePIN Podcast. My name is Tyler. I'm your host, and I am very excited for our next guest that we have. We have Yair. He is from Lava Networks. Welcome to the podcast. How you doing?
I'm great, Ella. Thank you. Very excited to be here.
Yeah, I'm excited to have you. We were joking a little bit beforehand that your core contribution is not delivery person or desk builder, chair builder, but clearly you guys are deep in the trenches. I just thought that was awesome. But in any event, welcome. How are you doing?
I'm great. Yeah, it's exciting days, a lot of things back and forth, but I'm keep building, as you can see behind me. So yeah.
Building in all ways, physical and tangible. That is the theme of DePIN. So I guess maybe one of the best places to start off, I was really interested to hear about folks' background, how you maybe got into Web3, how you came across just the space that you're building in, and learn a little bit from there to kick it off.
Yeah, for sure. My background is in tech. I was a computer engineering. I was in a special program in the army in Israel, born and raised. And I was very curious about building products and entrepreneurship from a very young age. So I was experiencing different Web2 tech, kind of from fintech. I was building also a platform very similar to Wix in 2009 and Wix.com, and I sold it after 3 years. I was building an augmented reality startup, business intelligence, and even supermarkets technology. So I really like to jump into new domains and really to bring my appetite and creating value in the products that I'm building. Web3 in general, I joined 3.5 years ago, and my co-founder also sold a cybersecurity startup. He dragged me in. I'm thankful for him till this moment. And yeah, we wanted to leverage our knowledge and see like what can we build in Web3 that is missing. Basically, it's a green field, so many different aspects untouched. And we really felt we can leverage our technology knowledge, our business knowledge, and obviously to build scalable products.
Yeah, that is the name of the game, and definitely a challenge when it comes to the Web3 space more generally. So what was the genesis behind Lava Network? As you were building in the space, evaluating it, was there just a overarching pain point that you kept running into? You saw a gap in the market? Talk to me a little bit about how you guys came to the conclusion this is the type of product or project that you wanted to build.
Yeah, for sure. We did some MEV bots before. I even tried to build an NFT marketplace back then, 2021. It's the NFT summer. And we were always seeing that there is a huge opportunity in the fundamental infrastructure, right? If we think that we want to enable decentralized application to thrive, we need to build a super resilient, scalable, and fast infrastructure. But that's not really the case, right? When you think about that, everyone back then needed to run a node. And in order to get access and read-write data from the blockchain into the blockchain, they needed to trust third party like centralized providers in order to fetch the data. And it's creating the same, violating the fundamentals that we've seen in Web3 and everyone is seeing in Web3. I'm speaking about no privacy when there is a third party. You don't know if the information is from the blockchain. There are single point of failures. There's a lot of drawbacks if you use a third party, right? But there was no other solution. And at the same time, when we see the boom of more and more chains spinning up, they face the same challenges. From the get-go, they need to bootstrap their own infrastructure. But why everyone has to do the same? Why they need to go to different centralized provider, have locking contracts, they don't know what they receive in return, and they end up paying millions of dollars for integration. That was the opportunity that we've seen, and I think that we're capturing nowadays.
Yeah. For those that are coming up to speed a little bit with understanding the Lava Network or maybe RPC in general, can you talk about maybe the chronology of the space, the specific challenges that you are able to solve, kind of how that all interfaces with either developers or the chain themselves, just like a high level technical explanation of what the network actually does for folks that are curious?
Yeah, for sure. The problem that we wanted to solve with Lava is simple, right? How do we remove the technical barrier and make infrastructure as a tool for developers, but not a barrier? We wanted to use Lava to build and address seamless, permissionless infrastructure that developer can rely on. Instead of spinning up your own nodes when accessing blockchain data or rely on third parties, we want to implement this kind of one single line that give access to all Web3. Imagine that every time you're opening your wallet, the wallet queries the blockchain. This is exactly the RPC that you were referring to. RPC remote procedure call is API that developer use in order to query the blockchain. But because of the special and unique architecture of the blockchain, they need to run a node, or they need to use a centralized providers for that. And it doesn't make sense when you go multi-chain, when there are different scaling needs there. And at the end of the day, you want to optimize your infrastructure. And this was what Lava mission was about. It was to ensure that Web3 could scale and be accessible to more developers and users on the other hand.
Yeah. When you were in the early days of building, were there specific use cases that you thought this was going to be really applicable to, whether it's, data marketplaces, indexes, just different, maybe dApps more generally? I know it's somewhat ubiquitous in terms of the requirements of having this if you're going to be building in the space, but were there really like primary applications you thought would be a compelling business case for Lava specifically?
Yeah, 100%. I gave the example of a wallet, right? But many times when you wanted to mint an NFT, you started to get errors, right? When you make a transaction, there is error because gas prices cannot be displayed. Sometimes when you're opening the wallet, you don't see your balances because the RPC has a single point of failure. Other examples, we see phishing attack towards those centralized provider. And there was a famous example on Polygon that Anchor nodes was compromised and presented false information. And because it's just the beginning of this amazing domain of Web3, there's all kind of sort of attack that could be prevented if the infrastructure is built right. And this is when we thought, let's build kind of a marketplace for data. You mentioned not only RPC APIs, but also indexing and other kind of data primitives. We are imagining Lava is the permissionless Amazon for any Web3 data. When we start with RPC API, but at the end, it could be any sort of data.
Yeah, I think that's a really compelling vision that can be unlocked. I know you've got a lot of customers that are using this marketplace of data, like Filecoin. There's a lot of networks. Can you just give a couple names or a couple examples of dApps or projects that are leveraging the Lava network?
Yeah, for sure. And we love name dropping, but just kidding. When we started, I think it was very important for us to talk with the founders of the chains, the founders of the dApps, to see what kind of problems they really have. And what happened is that in return, they said, we want to invest in you. So it was like amazing to see so many chains or foundations that decided to invest finally in Lava. That from Filecoin here, Axelar, there is a long list of very strong and famous reputable founders and chains that decided to vouch for Lava. And I think it's really unique because usually they say, oh, we prefer you to be exclusive to our ecosystem. Yeah. And when you imagine like a Web2 crazy traded platform kind of eToro that also the founders invested in us because they were seeing the vision of how we can enable dApps to scale by providing reliable and decentralized infrastructure, right? So we started from that, and today you see processing almost half of the traffic in Near, and the foundation announced different pools. Maybe we can touch that in a bit, but different pools on Stargaze, Union, Cosmos, movement, and many more to come, that we believe Lava going to be the go-to RPC in those chains.
Yeah, I think that's exciting. And for those that are listening to this, you are built on the Cosmos SDK. Is that correct?
That's correct. Exactly. Yeah.
Okay, very cool. And so as you're working or sort of interfacing with projects that are in a multi-chain world, can you give us a kind of a high-level explanation of how that works within Lava specifically?
Yeah, for sure. At the beginning, we really wanted to check different kind of tech stacks that will enable us to build fast. And at the end of the day, support multi-chain. So starting with EVM, but not also non-EVM chains. And I think Cosmos was the most bulletproof one, right? Started with the sovereignty of how you can define your specific application. That's the core of what Cosmos is bringing, together with the Tendermint, who today was renamed to Comet BFT. I think we found this tech the most documented. We found crazy project that also failed, but not the tech stack, like Terra, for example, right? The tech remained untouched, even throughout the DPEG, which was a crazy event, right? Think about it in terms of financial numbers, right? The tech was bulletproof. And this is why we decided to use that. Look, the proof is in the pudding, as I'm always saying. So at the end of the day, it helped us to build Lava testnet in less than a year, and in 1.5 years to mainnet, right? This is like the speed of light, especially when you building a bread and butter marketplace around reliability, resilience, and security that is touching the data.
Speaking of some of those milestones, it's pretty incredible what you've been able to accomplish in that time frame. You've got over 10 plus incentive pools. There's over 40 networks. Are there other kind of milestones that you guys are really proud of as a project that you're able to talk about a little bit?
Yeah, of course. First of all, I'm super proud of the team and the community. This is something that could not have been achieved without them. When we started the Magma Devs, the contributor of Lava Network, we brought 80% of the R&D team from no crypto, no Web3. They didn't even know what is Ethereum, but they were super keen and excited and passionate about building tech that can scale to millions of users. I will touch the millions of users in a second, because I just got a crazy update just before this podcast. But in general, like, I'm super excited for the fact that Lava already supporting more than 40 blockchains. Again, EVM, non-EVM. We have hundreds of different providers. And when I say provider, not only the reputable one like Alchemy, Blockdaemon, Chainstack, but also community node runners. Imagine it like Uber for nodes, where you're not a reputable driver, you don't have a brand, but you do the work, right? Running nodes at the end of the day, it's technical work. And you can monetize your infrastructure. So we allow dozens of different users that you never heard before to come to Lava, stake Lava, and join those different incentive pools and provide service. They're receiving the rewards every month based on the quality of service. And this is what is the uniqueness of these high quality service marketplaces, right? As more network increase, more rewards there, and more the contributor engagement at the end of the day.
Yeah. You brushed over this exciting milestone with respect to users. I know I've seen a number out there that's pretty staggering in terms of your weekly user count. I don't know if you have something to share with folks with that, but
because, I can share because we just had the update with the foundation and they gave me crazy numbers about $2 million ARR. And again, at the beginning of the year was zero. There was 10 million weekly unique users. And again, 10 million unique users. It means it's filtered by IPs. So it doesn't matter how many, if one user have a lot of wallets or they're farming, it's about the end IP and where they're located in the world. And we have a super cool dashboard that also was presented early, I think last month. And it shows you where are they coming from, how many cached requests, the average request per second. And this board is for the first time today able to take the information from the last 30 days And I'm super excited to share with you the number that almost 35 million unique users have been using Lava as the backbone to Web3.
That's incredible. I think the answer is fairly self-evident, but what do you believe are some of the key drivers to why you've had such incredible user growth within the network?
I think one of the tagline we thought is like Lava just works. And it sounds like a cliche sometimes, but it's indeed so easy. If it's a marketplace, right? So you can be a dApp that wants to use this service. You're buying a subscription, and then automatically you get access to 40 chains. You are a provider. You don't care about 40 chains. You care only one chain. So the other 39 on hundreds are irrelevant for you. But you know that, for example, at Near, you are doing the best archive service. You can do the history. You can do a lot of information that is currently needs, specifically in Japan, specifically in Asia. So you just in 5 minutes list and sign up to give service. And at the end of every month, you can receive thousands or hundreds or even dozens of thousands of dollars for that. And by the way, that's with the native token that the community likes. It could be a Near, it can be in an Atom on Cosmos, it can be in other tokens as well. And what's super unique about that is the fact that the foundation already gave back almost $500,000 in the last few months to those providers. So part of the thing is the usability and how easy it is to use the service. How foundation clearly see that this is a public good. We're not promoting one provider. The provider who will be chosen to give service is only based on his quality of service. So all of these 10 million weekly users and 2 million ARR isn't about the numbers. It's clearly a signal that decentralized infrastructure is no longer optional, right? That's the foundation, what really Web3 needs to scale.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a couple of questions that I want to start unpacking. I love how the physical or the decentralization of the physical infrastructure is really critical to this. One of the things that I was curious about, though, is that you have so many different chain integrations that you support. Is that a development lift that's been done by the team? Is there sort of contributor contributions that are able to help bring new chains into the fold? Is that something you're able to share at all?
That's a great question, because when you think about so many integration, then you can go back to say, just a second, but you're actually doing the work that centralized provider are doing, but you do that for everyone. And that's exactly the counter thesis of how it was working so far. We're changing the paradigm. Community can engage and build those, we call them specs, and bring other providers, other chains to start working with that. So this spec that is built and all the volume goes through it, the champion is receiving a commission from that to the entire time that it's being built. So at the end of the day, the engagement with the community in the different roles, that's what making the difference. We're talking about 40 chains, but in 2-3 months, it can be 100, right? So now when the foundation just launched the mainnet 4 months ago and going towards deploying more and more pools, it's unlimited. Everyone who needs the service obviously can spin up the pool, and because the pool got rewards and money, the community can join and make it thriving and make the infrastructure, bootstrapping the infrastructure much better.
That's amazing. So contributors, I presume developers, can actually go and create the spec. How much, so after the spec's been submitted, is that sent to the foundation, and then your guys' team is the one that actually builds the implementation for that?
No, they're building everything for the spec already is the definition of that is after the spec is ready. It's a process that can take, sorry, it's a process that can take a few hours even. It's just approved by the governance and that's it. Then the chain can come and spin up its own pool, deposit the rewards, and it's already working. So think about the foundation of the chain. Today, what they need to do is to go to the reputable node runners. They need to go to their validators, ask for volunteering to run RPC. Or what they ending up a lot of time doing is running the RPC by themselves. But this is not what they need to do, right? This is not what they want to invest their resources in. So today they have the four option of coming to Lava, depositing the token, and incentivizing the existing community to join without the hustle and the burden to go and cherry pick those providers.
Yeah, it certainly sounds like an interesting way that if you are privy to different projects or different providers being able to monetize those efforts within the network, that it becomes a value add for everybody else involved. In addition to the spec contribution, how else are community members able to participate? Through validators, being an RPC provider. Obviously, you guys are in the business of decentralized infrastructure as this important layer within this broad stack. So what does that sort of point of entry look like for other people who want to become involved within the network?
So yeah, it's very important to categorize the different roles and also not to have too much information there. We obviously the validators and the RPC provider that you mentioned before. And what is unique about the RPC provider is that they really can earn their rewards in the native token that they want to contribute to. We gave an example of Near. They earn Near token at the end of the day. Stargaze, Union, or Axelar, Evmos also, like all of these kind of chains are depositing their own token. It makes it seamless and engaging more of their existing community. The other thing that the foundation just presented is the restakers. And restakers invite every token holder of Lava to restake to a RPC provider. If I go a bit back, the way that the service works is that if you're a dApp and you want to receive service, you're going to be paired to a list of providers. But a protocol going to decide which provider going to get the service based on two things. One is the quality of service, the score that you got from previous thing, and the second previous sessions. But the second thing is how big is your stake. More stake of Lava means more accountability for you, more reputable one. And if you are, and going back to the restakers, everyone who is token holder and wants to participate in their commission, they can restake to an RPC provider, not only stake to validator. And this is how restake and every token holder can contribute to the network growth. Those revenues are distributed to more and more community members.
That's amazing. And just tactically, if you were interested in putting up your personal resources, is it token stake? Is there a hardware contribution aspect to that? Can you just share how tactically functions?
And the sign-up process, the registering process for the RPC provider is a simple Docker that they need to run. And I guess they already have the infrastructure, right? Because they want to monetize something. So whether it's a GCP that we're going to soon announce with Google that there is a one-click to spin up your own GCP infrastructure and receive also a sign up on Lava. Whether it's Hetzner or like physical bare metals or any other cloud hardware that the RPC provider can run, it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, they need to support these APIs in RPC, and once they support it, they receive the service and afterwards the rewards. For everyone else, token holders or restakers, it's very simple. Only the token.
Yeah, it is very straightforward. And I think people will appreciate the one-click GCP integration. Are you looking at other sort of decentralized alternatives to traditional cloud providers who could participate in the hardware side of this network?
Of course, yeah. Apart from the spoiler that I just spoiled about GCP. But yeah, we work with other cloud providers. Just was approached by Alibaba, for example, and I think they see a lot of opportunity in Asia. When you think about AWS, and I think that this research was like 1.5 years ago, that they hold 60% of Web3. This is centralized at the end of the day, right? Yeah, those are very interesting topics when you think about how the cloud infrastructure in general just developed over time. We explore a couple of different partners of that, or not even a cloud providers directly. Think about Cloudflare or other companies that supporting in this domain.
Very interesting. You talked about the foundation a fair amount because that's really integral to Lava and sort of the success of the Lava network. Can you give a high-level explanation of the governance process that sort of has been created or is evolving within the network? It really sounds like that's quite integral. And so I'm curious just to understand how you've been thinking about governance and how that exists today and maybe is going to change or manifest in the future.
Yeah, for sure. So from very high level, the governance model is super decentralized from the get-go. This really allows community to have input, decision. There was just an interesting proposal that by one of the token holder that was discussed and got a lot of engagement. Everyone can participate, right? That's the nature of governance and foundations. And I think what is very important here is the emphasis on the transparency when there are decision or like this decision-making process, right? It's all about the community and everyone needs to be heard, right? You should not censor everyone or have some of the community member heard while other not. And that's what basically I believe in. But now I like to see that everyone from the community is also going without that. In general, I think Lava is living really up to speed and designed to be really the fully decentralized network. And it doesn't matter if you're a validator, RPC provider, a restaker, there are always ways to be involved and contribute. At the end of the day, it's the decentralized future of Web3.
Yeah, that is certainly the ethos, and you guys are pushing that spirit forward, which is great. So what else is next for the network? It sounds like there's been, so much between going to mainnet, obviously all of these different partners and providers and whatnot that are working within the Lava network ecosystem. Is there any kind of future roadmap things that you're able to talk about? You've given a bit of alpha already, but is there some more kind of roadmap items that you think are pertinent for people to be aware of?
Yeah, I think so. The foundation did its first pre-launch in August, right, with the mainnet now. So obviously there's no other way around what I've seen the plans around the launch itself. And I believe that the roadmap will include more scaling and supporting additional networks, roll-ups, collaboration with kind of RAS or roll-up as a service providers that are in the way in the hood. I think that expanding the infrastructure cannot be overlooked on Web2 or Web2 services or companies or enterprise level kind of the overlap of Web2 and Web3. So a very big announcement is coming about specific project that we worked with in the last 1 year and finally chose Lava to really be the backbone to 200 networks. Okay, so this is a big teaser here. But what I'm very also keen about is to see dApps buying more and more subscriptions. When I say subscription, imagine that when you paying a service, when you pay Netflix, right? You just put your credit card and you pay monthly and you get the service, right? That's a SaaS. But in crypto, when you want to pay for a provider for the service, for request, you cannot really do that. And this is when the Lava networks are able to issue a subscription. Every dApp can buy subscription for 3 months, 6 months, 1 year. And the moment they buying the subscription, they can get the service according to the subscription. So we just seen like a few weeks ago, a big dApp that bought a massive subscription and all the network responded accordingly. And yeah, I'm more keen to see more subscription like that. It's really living the ethos of Web3. You don't need to be dependent on a third party. You go to the chain, you buy the subscription, and you receive the service.
Yeah, that's amazing. The subscription model within Web3 is something that's always been interesting to me because I don't think we've seen a lot of examples of it being done well yet. It sounds like you've done it. So there's probably some innovation. How are you actually implementing that? Is it you buy like an NFT that represents a certain amount of access? Just from a transactional standpoint, can you talk through how you've built the subscription model out? Because I think it's pretty interesting in the space.
Yeah, no. So I also didn't see much of that. But when we are builders, so we think about what the builders need. And if we started the podcast with they need one line of code and access to all Web3, they also need to somehow pay on that without the hassle to go to fiat or other kind of payments. So with Lava, it's super easy. You just buy Lava, right? You buy Lava, and the protocol lets you to deposit that into what kind of package you really need. So everything done in a few minutes, and you're off to go. So you can be a wallet, developing a wallet. You can be developing a DEX. Doesn't matter. You still need the same endpoint, right? Yeah, this is how it's simple.
Yeah, that's super straightforward. I appreciate that you guys have put the thought in and put the work in to make that a reality. Gosh, was there anything else that you wanted to add? I know we've covered so much with respect to what you've been building, how the project is maturing and growing, and there's been quite a bit of growth, which is very exciting. But was there anything else we didn't get to cover that you think's really relevant for folks?
Yeah, I invite more expansion, more rollups, more chains. Anyway, Lava is continuing to grow and scale, and there is a rising demand, especially today, for decentralized infra. I think the long-term goal is to be focused on building solid foundation that every dApp that's just joining and want to build on a specific chain doesn't need to think about what cloud provider or what provider, RPC provider they use. If they want more sophisticated data usage, indexing, or even oracles, that's a plug and play in the marketplace that's called Lava. Even AI. More and more projects are approaching us because there is an increasing need for AI and AI infrastructure. Think about LLM marketplace or how agents need to perform differently in different regions and stuff. All of this is coming in 2025. And I'm super excited to see what the future holds.
Yeah, I'm excited for you guys. I did have one final question I'll ask you, which you mentioned rollups. Are there technical differences between servicing rollups versus servicing other chains that is maybe like a challenge or just interesting or something that's worth noting for potential dApp builders? Or is it all more or less the same? I'm just curious how that sort of plays into what the Lava network more generally as you're expanding to support these rollups.
At the beginning, we wanted to say that we not only a generalist, but the UN. I don't personally like the UN, the other way around, but I think it's just, if you think about the concept that at the end of the day, you don't really want to know what is TCP IP when you serve the website, right? Where the storage of the website that you are surfing from is. Where when we recording this session, is it GCP, AWS, like the end user and us don't need to know that. That's the abstraction we want to bring to Web3. And to put the pin into your question, there is no difference from any rollup, L2s, L1, and we serving everyone.
I love that. I love that. You guys are becoming a very important layer, a growing important layer within the Web3 space. And I think it's incredible because we need more decentralized infrastructure. We need to make it simple, and you're a catalyst for that change in the right direction. Well, Yair, this has been a phenomenal conversation. I'm incredibly excited about A, all the growth that you're seeing, B, how much interest there's been in all of these different projects supporting you to not keep it for themselves, but really proclamate that within the space. So I'm really excited to see the continued success and growth, and wanted to thank you again for coming on to give us some updates and give us some alpha in the process. This has been a really fun conversation.
For me as well. Thank you so much for the time today, Taylor, and the thoughtful question.
Absolutely. All right, folks, well, we're going to wrap it up here. We wanted to thank Yair again for joining us, giving us all of these.
Go back to building now. So.
Yes, go back to building, physical and digital. So we just wanted to say thank you again. If you've got any questions, we're going to have all of the links and information about Lava Network below. So by all means, go check them out. If you are a dApp builder, or if you are someone in a chain as a community member, certainly take a look, because this is something that you will not want to overlook. So with all that being said, we're going to wrap it up here. Thanks again for tuning in, and we will see everyone on the next one. Take care.